A friend of mine asked if I could update her kitchen cabinets and give them a unique look. I had the perfect technique in mind. I began by cleaning all of the cabinet fronts and sides using TSP and hot water. I wore rubber gloves since this really cuts the grease. One of the most important steps is to label each door before you remove it. I used painter's tape and corresponding letters and numbers for each door. I removed all of the doors, placing the hinges into bags that were labeled to the corresponding cabinets. After taking off the doors, I placed them in the garage on pieces of scrap wood. This would allow the air to circulate underneath the doors as they dried. Under the wood, I also placed drop cloths to protect the floor. I filled in the knot holes using wood filler because I was adding new hardware to the drawer fronts. Once the wood filler was dry, I sanded it smooth. By using a quality primer, I didn't have to sand the entire cabinet before I painted. I used a 1/3" nap roller to apply the primer and a brush to prime in any grooves. I began priming the backs of the doors, allowing them to dry for 12 hours, and then primed the fronts. As the door fronts were drying, it was time to prime the cabinets. I began taping off along the walls and the drawers using painter's tape. I applied the primer using the same 1/3" nap roller and brush. The priming took a total of 2 days to finish the doors and the cabinets due to drying time. Once the primer was dry, it was time to paint. I used Valspar enamel made specifically for cabinets. By using this paint, I wouldn't have to seal the cabinets after I painted because the paint is enamel. I used the 1/3" nap roller and brush to apply the paint to the doors and the cabinets. Following the manufacturer's directions, I allowed the paint to dry for 48 hours, then I applied a second coat. Once the second coat of paint was dry, it was time to distress the doors. Using a fine grit sandpaper, I removed the paint from the corners and the edges of all of the drawer fronts. Then I mixed water and white paint at a 3:1 ratio and stirred it well. I applied the paint-water mixture with a brush and removed it with a soft cloth. To add the new cabinet hardware, I used a tool made by Craig Jig to find the center of the drawer and drill for the new pulls, which I attached to the drawer front. To reattach the drawer fronts, I simply re-screwed them into the drawer. I had sprayed the hinges of the doors to match the new knobs, which I reattached to the doors, and then rehung the doors to the correct cabinet. While the oak was nice, it was outdated. Now the kitchen is much brighter and looks brand new. With the new knobs and drawer pulls and the distressing technique, the homeowner can't wait to show her updated kitchen to family and friends. I hope this inspires you to update your kitchen today.
Hi, I'm Kara, and last month I moved into my boyfriend Alex's Texas home, which meant his roommates moved out. We were left with this guest bathroom that was in major need of a makeover. I cleared out the room, which was pretty easy since it was practically empty, and started removing the cabinet doors. While Alex gave the cabinets a light sand, I prepped them for paint with some TSP. Prepping your space for paint is arguably the most important part of the whole DIY, so make sure you do this step right. I recommend using a kitchen sponge to scrub your TSP onto the cabinets to remove any stuck-on dirt or debris. After wiping them clean with water, I cleaned the rest of the bathroom and began taping off. I went with this sage green paint to give this windowless room some fun color. I opted for paint with primer already in it, but I still went ahead and did 2 coats of paint to make sure I covered everything. While the paint was drying, we removed the towel bar, patched the holes, and prepped the wall for paint. We turned the power off, removed the existing light fixture, and then decided to remove the giant mirror to open up the space a little bit. You'll see what we do soon. This was a lot easier than I expected, but man, was that thing heavy. Outside, I prepped the light fixture with a light sand before spray painting it satin black. I also painted the toilet paper holder and some drawer pulls that I had left over from a different DIY. Back in the bathroom, we painted the wall where the mirror had once been. I also can't believe that this room used to be brown. After all the painting was done, I got the so satisfying job of ripping off all the tape. I mean, who doesn't love that? Now on to the faucet. I started with the idea to use Rub and Buff to paint the existing faucet black. Well, this was a total fail, which ended in us overnighting a new faucet from Amazon and totally replacing it. But this one does look pretty good. So now that all the big projects are done, it was time to add the finishing touches. I reattached the cabinet doors and then added the new handles with this fun post-it note hack. I'm sure there is a more sophisticated tool out there, but this worked great for us. We measured the center of the long drawer and added a pole to that to match. Finally, we reattached the toilet paper holder. Alex rehung the light fixture and got busy hanging the mirror. We also added these two hooks beside the shower for towels for our guests. I styled the decor I got from Target, along with some things that I already had around the house. Are you ready for the big reveal? I cannot believe that in just 48 hours, this bathroom went from basic and builder-grade to spa-like, luxurious home away from home. I started this makeover with a $200 budget and ended up only spending $150. I am absolutely floored with where that money got me. Even with a few DIY fails along the way, I am so happy with how this bathroom turned out. Cannot wait to host our first guests in our new home together. I hope this inspired you to make over a room of your own in 48 hours or less.